Sign it tonight, my son said, sliding the folder across the table. I didn't reach for it immediately. We were sitting in his dining room, the one I'd helped him pick out furniture for 3 years ago. Expensive stuff, restoration hardware, the kind of chairs that cost more than my first car. His wife, Melissa, stood by the kitchen island, pretending to organize mail. She wasn't organizing anything, she was listening. Tonight? I asked. Yeah, tonight. Derek's voice had that edge to it, the one he'd developed after law school, the one that said he was done negotiating before the conversation even started. I pulled the folder toward me. Heavy stock paper, the kind lawyers use when they want you to feel the weight of what you're signing. I flipped it open. The first page was a quitclaim deed. My workshop, the one I'd built from the ground up in 1987. 2 acres in Henderson County, the building where I'd taught Derek how to use a lathe when he was 12, where we'd restored his first car together, where I'd held my business for 38 years. He was taking it. I read the property description twice. Legal language, but clear enough. All improvements, structures, and appurtenances thereon. Everything. This transfers the property, I said. Yeah. Derek still wasn't looking at me. He was looking at his phone, scrolling through something that was apparently more important than this conversation. To you and Melissa. Joint tenancy, that's standard. I turned the page. There was more. An operating agreement for DM Fabrication LLC. That was new. I'd never heard of DM Fabrication. The agreement listed Derek Martin as managing member, Melissa Foster as co-member. My name appeared exactly once at the bottom, under transferring party. What's DM Fabrication? I asked. The new entity, Melissa said from the kitchen. Her voice was cheerful. Too cheerful. Derek's been meaning to restructure for tax purposes. I nodded slowly, kept reading. Page 4 was a general release. I, Thomas Martin, hereby release and forever discharge Derek James Martin and Melissa Ann Martin from any and all claims, demands, or causes of action. The language went on for 2 paragraphs. It was comprehensive. It was final. Page 5 was a non-compete agreement. I agreed not to engage in any fabrication, metalworking, or related business activities within a 50-mile radius of Henderson County for a period of 10 years. 10 years. I was 62 years old. This is a non-compete, I said. Standard protection, Derek said. You understand. We can't have you opening up shop next door and pulling our clients. Our clients. The ones I'd built relationships with over 4 decades, the ones who called me by my first name, the ones whose fathers had been my clients before them. I set the folder down, looked at my son, really looked at him. He'd gotten a haircut recently, expensive, the kind where they use scissors for 45 minutes instead of clippers. His shirt was pressed, French cuffs, cufflinks I didn't recognize. He'd filled out since college, but not in a good way, soft around the middle, the kind of soft that comes from too many client dinners and not enough actual work. Why tonight? I asked. Does it matter? I'm asking. Derek finally looked up from his phone. Because I'm tired of waiting, Dad. You've been saying you'd transition the business to me for 5 years. Well, here it is, the transition. Sign the papers, it's done. I said I'd bring you into the business. This is bringing me in. This is pushing me out. Semantics. Melissa moved closer. She'd been doing this thing lately where she positioned herself slightly behind Derek's shoulder. United front. They'd probably read about it in some marriage book. Tom, she said, using that gentle voice she reserved for difficult conversations. Derek's just trying to protect the family's interests. You've worked so hard for so long. Don't you want to rest? Don't you want to enjoy your retirement? I didn't answer that. Kept my eyes on the folder. We talked to an attorney, Derek said. Everything's legitimate. Everything's fair market value. You're getting a reasonable consulting fee for the first year. Health insurance through the business. It's all in there. I flipped back to page 3. Found the compensation section. $12,000 annually, paid monthly, $1,000 a month for a business that grossed $400,000 last year. $12,000, I said. Consulting fee, Derek corrected. You're not working. You're advising. Big difference, legally speaking. Legally speaking. Yeah. I closed the folder. Looked around the room. They'd redecorated since I was here last month. New art on the walls, abstract stuff. The kind where you can't tell if it's upside down or not. Probably cost more than my truck. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I ignored it. Where's Jennifer? I asked. Derek blinked. Who? Your sister, my daughter, your family. She's in Charlotte. Why? She know about this? This is business, Dad, not a family reunion. I nodded. Stood up. Derek tensed, just slightly, just enough that I noticed. You need a pen? He asked. I reached into my jacket pocket, pulled out the Mont Blanc my wife had given me for our 30th anniversary. It was older than Derek, worth more than everything on their walls combined, though they'd never know it. I clicked it open, sat back down, started signing. I signed the quitclaim deed, signed the operating agreement, signed the general release, signed the non-compete. Each signature took about 3 seconds. I didn't read the fine print again. Didn't ask questions. Didn't negotiate. Derek watched me sign. He'd shifted forward in his chair, eager, like a dog waiting for dinner. Melissa had her phone out. She was recording. I could see the little red dot in her camera app's reflection in the window behind her. I finished the last signature, dated everything December 10th, today. Slid the folder back across the table. That's it? Derek asked. That's it. You're not going to argue, try to negotiate? I stood up again, capped my pen, put it back in my pocket. No, I said. Why not? I looked at him for a long moment. Really looked. Tried to find the kid who'd cried when his hamster died when he was 8, the teenager who'd called me from college, homesick and scared, needing to hear my voice, the young man who'd asked me to be his best man at his wedding. I couldn't find that person anymore. Because you're my son, I said. And if this is what you need, then take it. I walked toward the front door. Derek didn't follow me. Melissa did, though. She caught up to me in the foyer. Tom, she said quietly, this really is for the best. Derek's been under so much stress. The business needs fresh energy, new direction. You understand, right? I opened the front door. Cold air rushed in. December in North Carolina. Not quite freezing, but close. I understand perfectly, I said. I walked to my truck. Got in. Started the engine. The heat blasted cold air for the first minute. I sat there, watching their house through the windshield. Every light was on. Wasteful. I'd taught Derek better than that. My phone buzzed again. I pulled it out. It was a text from my wife, Ellen. How did it go? I didn't answer yet. Started typing a response, then deleted it. Started again. Deleted again. Finally, I just wrote, signed everything, heading home. 3 dots appeared immediately. Ellen was typing. Good. Come home. We need to talk. I put the truck in reverse, backed out of their driveway. The motion sensor lights followed me all the way to the street. As I drove away, I looked in the rearview mirror one more time. Through the dining room window, I could see Derek on his phone, probably calling his lawyer, probably telling him it was done, probably celebrating. I turned onto the main road. My phone rang. Ellen. I answered. Hey, you signed? She asked. Yeah. All of it? Everything. There was a pause. Then, did you notice? Notice what? The 3rd page, paragraph 7, subsection C. I'd read every page, twice, but I'd been reading for the betrayal, not the details. What about it? I asked. The effective date, Ellen said. It says upon execution and delivery, not upon recording or upon filing. execution, and delivery. I thought about that. So that means the transfer is effective immediately, not when they file it with the county, not when it's processed, tonight, right now. I know that. Do you know what else it means? I was quiet. Ellen's voice changed, got harder. It means they don't just want the business, Tom. They needed it tonight. Specifically tonight. There's a reason for the timeline. There's always a reason for the timeline. I pulled over, put the truck in park, sat there on the shoulder of Highway 64, hazards on, thinking. What are you saying? I asked. I'm saying your son wouldn't push this hard, this fast, unless there was a deadline. Something's happening, something we don't know about yet. And I'm saying that before you do anything else, before you talk to anyone, before you even think about what comes next, you need to come home. We need to look at those papers together. Really look at them. I signed them already. I know, but signatures aren't the end of the story. They're the beginning. Come home. I put the truck back in drive, pulled onto the highway. I'm 20 minutes out, I said. I'll put coffee on. She hung up. I drove in silence. Past the exit for downtown Hendersonville, past the shopping center where Derek and I used to get breakfast on Saturday mornings when he was in high school, past the turnoff for the workshop. My workshop. Except it wasn't mine anymore. As of tonight, it belonged to DM Fabrication LLC. As of tonight, I was a consultant. $1,000 a month. As of tonight, I couldn't open another shop within 50 miles for 10 years. I thought about that last part. 50 miles. In Henderson County, 50 miles covered everything. Every client, every supplier, every skilled worker, every potential location. It was exile disguised as a non-compete. My phone buzzed again. Another text. This time from Jennifer. Dad, Derek just called me. Said you signed the transfer papers. Are you okay? Call me when you can. I didn't respond. Kept driving. The radio was playing something classical. I don't know what. Ellen had left it on that station last time she drove the truck. I didn't change it. Just listened to violins and thought about signatures and timeline and why tonight mattered so much. I pulled into our driveway 16 minutes later. The house was lit up, every window. Ellen had turned on the porch lights too, the ones we only used for company. She opened the front door before I reached it. Let me see them, she said. I handed her the folder. She'd already cleared off the dining room table, had her reading glasses on, a legal pad, 3 different colored pens. This was Ellen in work mode. She'd been a paralegal for 30 years before retiring. She'd worked in family law mostly, divorces, custody battles, estate disputes. She knew how to read contracts the way a mechanic knows how to read engine sounds. I poured myself coffee, stood in the doorway between the kitchen and dining room, watched her read. She didn't say anything for 10 minutes, just read, made notes, flipped pages, read some more. Finally, she looked up. Do you know what you signed? She asked. I know what I signed. No. I mean, do you really know? I sat down across from her. Tell me. She turned the folder around, pointed to page 2. This operating agreement. It doesn't just transfer the property, it transfers everything. All assets, all accounts receivable, all inventory, all intellectual property, every client relationship, every supplier agreement, everything. I know. No, you don't. She flipped to page 6. This section here. It says you're prohibited from disparaging the business or its members. That's Derek and Melissa. It says if you violate that provision, you forfeit all compensation and benefits, including the health insurance. Standard language. Maybe. But look at the definition of disparagement. It includes any statement, written or oral, that could be perceived as critical of the business operations, management decisions, or financial standing. That's not standard. That's a gag order. I drank my coffee. It was too hot, burned my tongue. I drank it anyway. Ellen kept going. The non-compete, 10 years, 50 miles. You know what that means? At 62, that means you're done. You can't work in your own industry. You can't consult for competitors. You can't even advise someone thinking about starting a similar business. I know. Then why did you sign? I set the coffee down. Because he's my son. That's not good enough. It's the only reason I have. Ellen closed the folder, pushed it to the side, leaned back in her chair. You know what I think? She said. I think you signed because you wanted to see what he'd do. I think you signed because you needed to know if your son would really go through with this, and now you know. She wasn't wrong. What now? I asked. Ellen stood up, walked to the kitchen, came back with the coffee pot, filled both our mugs. Now we figure out why tonight mattered, she said. We figure out what they're not telling you. And then we figure out what to do about it. I signed a release. I can't do anything about it. You signed a piece of paper, that's all. Paper can be challenged. Paper can be voided. Paper can burn. I looked at my wife. Really looked at her. She was 60 years old. Gray hair she'd stopped dyeing 5 years ago. Lines around her eyes from 30 years of smiling. Hands that were starting to show arthritis, but still steady when she needed them to be. She was smiling now. But it wasn't the kind of smile you give someone when you're trying to make them feel better. It was the kind of smile you give someone right before you go to war. What are you thinking? I asked. I'm thinking we need to make some phone calls, starting with Bill Hendricks. The real estate attorney? The real estate attorney who specializes in contract disputes. Yeah, him. Ellen, don't. She held up one hand. Don't tell me to let it go. Don't tell me it's not worth it. Don't tell me he's our son and we should forgive him. I know he's our son. I carried him for 9 months. I was in labor for 14 hours. I taught him how to tie his shoes and read a clock and drive a car. And I know exactly what he just did to you. Her voice didn't rise, didn't shake, just got quieter, harder. He didn't just take your business, she said. He took 38 years of your life. He took your reputation, he took your future, and he did it with a smile on his face and a lawyer on speed dial. So no, we're not letting this go. We're figuring out what he's hiding, and then we're making him regret it. I didn't argue. We sat there in silence for a while, drinking coffee, looking at the folder on the table between us. Finally, I asked the question I'd been afraid to ask. What if there's nothing to find? Ellen looked at me like I'd just suggested the earth was flat. There's always something to find, she said. Always. Your son is smart, but he's not that smart. And his wife, Melissa, she's ambitious. Ambitious people make mistakes. They get greedy. They cut corners. They assume they're smarter than everyone else. And that's when they slip up. She stood, started gathering the papers. We're going to find the mistake, she said, and when we do, we're going to use it. Before we continue, hit the hype button, subscribe, and like the video to help the channel grow. Tell us which city you are from in the comments. We'd love to get to know our audience better. I didn't sleep that night. Ellen did. She always could compartmentalize, box things up, deal with them in order. It's what made her good at her job back when she was working. She'd see 5 clients in a day, each one with a life falling apart, and she'd give each one her full attention for exactly 50 minutes. Then she'd close that file and open the next one. Me, I don't work that way. Never have. When something's wrong, it sits in my chest like a stone. Gets heavier every time I try to ignore it. At 2 in the morning, I got up, went to my home office, the small one, off the garage, turned on the desk lamp, pulled out my own files. I'd kept copies of everything related to the business. 38 years of invoices, contracts, receipts, tax returns. Most of it was digital now, but the old stuff was still in filing cabinets, paper, the way it used to be. I started with the property deed, the original one, from 1987. I'd bought that land for $42,000. It was nothing back then. 2 acres of scrub brush and red clay outside the city limits. No utilities, no road access, Nothing. I'd built everything myself. Dug the well, ran the electric, poured the foundation, framed the building, 3,200 square feet of workspace. High ceilings, good ventilation, enough power to run industrial equipment. The business grew slowly. First year, I made $18,000, barely enough to cover materials and the bank loan. Second year, $35,000. By year 5, I was clearing 6 figures. By year 10, I had 4 employees and a client list that stretched from Asheville to Charlotte. I'd built something real, and tonight, I'd signed it away. I pulled out the tax returns. Started with last year. DM Fabrication didn't exist in those returns. Just Martin Fabrication. Sole proprietorship. My name. My social security number. My liability. I made a note on the legal pad Ellen had left on my desk. When was DM Fabrication formed? Kept looking. Found the insurance policies, general liability, property, workers' comp, all in my name, all listing Martin Fabrication as the insured entity. Made another note. Do these policies transfer automatically, or do they need to be rewritten? Kept digging. 3 in the morning. 4. The sky outside the window started changing from black to deep blue. Still dark, but no longer night. I found something at 4:30. It was a letter, dated 6 months ago, from Henderson County Planning and Zoning. Subject: Notice of rezoning application. The property adjacent to mine, 40 acres of farmland, had been rezoned from agricultural to commercial industrial. The application had been filed by Piedmont Development Group. I'd never heard of them, but the letter included a copy of the site plan, and the site plan showed access roads, utility connections, stormwater management, all the infrastructure you'd need for a major development, and the proposed access road ran right along my property line. I read the letter 3 times. Then I went to the county's website, pulled up the GIS map, found my property, found the adjacent parcel. The parcel had been sold 4 months ago, purchased by Piedmont Development Group for $900,000. I zoomed in on the site plan they'd filed with their building permit application. It showed a 60,000 square foot facility. The application description said, Manufacturing and Distribution Center. I sat back in my chair. Thought about that. My property sat between Highway 64 and the new development. Anyone trying to access that new facility from the main road would have to go around my property. Add a 1/4 mile to every delivery, every shipment, every client visit. Unless they had an easement through my property. I pulled up the quitclaim deed I'd signed. Read it again. Slowly this time. There it was. Buried in the middle of page 2. Transferor grants to transferee and transferee's successors and assigns a perpetual easement for ingress and egress across the northern 15 feet of the property for purposes of accessing adjacent parcels. 15 feet. The entire length of my northern property line. I pulled up the GIS map again, measured the northern property line. Just over 700 feet. 15 feet by 700 feet. That's 10,500 square feet of easement. Enough for a road, a wide road, the kind that could handle semi-trucks. I made another note. Check. Does Derek have a relationship with Piedmont Development? Then I made another. Check. What's the value of an easement on commercial property? My phone rang, 5:15 in the morning. I looked at the screen. Jennifer. I answered. Hey, sweetheart. Dad. Oh my God, Dad, I've been up all night. Are you okay? What happened? I'm fine. Derek called me. He said you signed everything. He said you were happy to transition the business to him. He said it was all very amicable, but that's not true, is it? I didn't answer right away. Dad? It's complicated, I said. It's not complicated, it's theft. Mom called me after midnight. She told me what was in those papers. A non-compete, a gag order. Dad, that's not a retirement plan. That's exile. Your mother has a flair for the dramatic. Don't defend him. Don't you dare defend him. I heard something in Jennifer's voice, something raw, hurt that wasn't just about me. What did Derek tell you? I asked. He said you were getting too old to run the business. He said you'd been making mistakes, losing clients, that the business was declining and you were too stubborn to admit it. He said this was an intervention, for your own good. And you believed him? No. God, no. I know you, Dad. You don't make mistakes. You don't lose clients. If anything, you work too hard. You always have. So I called him back, asked him for specifics, names of clients you'd lost, examples of mistakes. You know what he said? What? He said it wasn't his job to manage my expectations about my father. That's a direct quote. Manage my expectations. Like I'm some employee he needs to handle. I closed my eyes. I'm sorry, sweetheart. Don't apologize for him. Don't make excuses. Just tell me what you're going to do. I don't know yet. Mom said you're calling Bill Hendricks. Maybe. Not maybe. Do it. Today. This morning. Derek can't get away with this. Jennifer. I mean it, Dad. You built that business. You earned it. You deserve better than this. We all do. She was crying now, trying not to, failing. I have to go, she said. I have to get ready for work. But promise me you'll call Bill. Promise me you'll fight this. I promise I'll think about it. That's not good enough. It's all I've got right now. She was quiet for a moment. Then, I love you, Dad. I love you too. She hung up. Jennifer arrived at 10 the next morning. She didn't call first, just showed up, pulled into the driveway in her silver Honda, got out, walked straight to the front door. Ellen let her in. They hugged, long and tight, the way mothers and daughters hug when something's wrong. I was in the kitchen, making coffee. Seemed like that's all I did anymore. Make coffee, drink coffee, make more coffee. Jennifer came in, looked at me. Her eyes were red. She'd been crying, maybe on the drive down, maybe this morning, maybe all night. Dad, she said. I set down the coffee pot, walked over, hugged her. She was 34 years old, successful, smart, had her own life in Charlotte, marketing director for a tech company, good salary, good benefits, independent. But right now, she felt like the little girl who used to climb onto my lap when she was scared. I'm okay, I said. No, you're not. I'm handling it. You shouldn't have to handle it. Not alone. Not like this. Ellen brought Jennifer a cup of coffee. We sat at the kitchen table, the same table where I'd shown Ellen the papers 2 nights ago. Seemed like a lifetime ago now. Tell me everything, Jennifer said. So I did. The folder, the signatures, the easement, Piedmont Development, the invalid notary, Bill's challenges, Derek's threats. Jennifer listened without interrupting. Her jaw got tighter as I talked, her hands clenched around the coffee mug. When I finished, she said, he planned this, for months, maybe longer. He knew exactly what he was doing. Yes. And Melissa, she was part of it? She was in the kitchen when I signed. She recorded it on her phone. Jesus. Jennifer set down her mug. I need to talk to him. No, I said. Dad, no. You call Derek, you confront him. All that happens is he gets defensive, gets angry, says things you can't take back, things he can't take back. This is already bad enough. Don't make it worse. It can't get worse. It can always get worse. Ellen reached across the table, put her hand on Jennifer's arm. Your dad's right, she said. Derek's cornered. Desperate. If you push him now, he'll lash out. He'll say things he doesn't mean. Or maybe things he does mean. Either way, it damages the relationship beyond repair. The relationship is already damaged beyond repair, Jennifer said. Not yet. Not all the way. There's still a chance. A chance for what? Reconciliation? Forgiveness? Mom, he stole Dad's business. He lied. He manipulated. He used Dad's trust like a weapon. You don't come back from that. Ellen didn't argue. Just sat back. Looked at me. Jennifer wiped her eyes. I'm sorry, I'm not helping. I know I'm not helping. I can't believe he did this. My brother. My big brother who used to protect me from bullies and help me with homework and… Her voice broke. She stood up, walked to the window, stared out at the backyard. When did he change? She asked quietly. When did he become this person? I thought about that, tried to pinpoint a moment, a day, a decision. I don't know, I said. Maybe he didn't change. Maybe this is who he always was. We just didn't want to see it. No, he wasn't always like this. He used to care about people, about family, about doing the right thing. People change when money's involved, Ellen said. They justify things they'd never justify otherwise. Tell themselves stories about why they deserve it, why the rules don't apply to them. My phone buzzed. Text from Bill. Tom, got some news. The Register of Deeds agreed the notarization was invalid. They're voiding the transfer pending refiling with a valid notary. Derek has 24 hours to fix it. If he doesn't, the property reverts to you automatically. I showed Ellen and Jennifer. 24 hours, Ellen said. That takes him to Friday morning, right up against the permit deadline. What if he can't find a notary in time? Jennifer asked. He'll find one, but it adds pressure, adds complexity, adds one more thing that can go wrong. My phone rang. Derek, I answered. Put it on speaker so Ellen and Jennifer could hear. Dad, we need to talk. His voice was different, calmer, almost conciliatory. I'm listening, I said. This thing with the notary. Bill's challenge, it's unnecessary. I can fix it. I can have the documents renotarized today. Everything will be legal. Everything will be fine. But I need you to back off. Stop fighting this. Let me fix it and move on. And if I don't? Then you're costing me money, time, credibility. You're jeopardizing a deal that's worth millions. I'm protecting my interests. Your interests? Dad, I gave you a fair deal. I gave you $12,000 a year for a $500,000 business, a non-compete that ends my career, a gag order that silences me. That's not fair. That's exploitation. Silence. Then, is this about money? Because if it is, we can renegotiate. I can increase the consulting fee. It's not about money. Then what is it about? It's about you lying to me, using me, treating me like an obstacle instead of your father. I heard Derek breathe, slow and controlled, like he was counting to 10, trying not to explode. Okay, he said finally. Okay, I hear you. You're hurt. You feel betrayed. I get that. But Dad, this is business. This is how business works. You taught me that. Separate the personal from the professional. Make the smart play. Don't let emotions cloud judgment. I taught you to be honest, to treat people with respect, to honor your commitments. I am honoring my commitments to Apex, to Piedmont, to my investors. I have people counting on me, people who've put their money and trust into this project. I can't let them down because you're upset. Jennifer leaned forward. She'd been quiet until now, but something in Derek's voice had triggered her. Derek, she said, it's Jennifer. I'm here with Dad and Mom. Pause. Jennifer, I didn't know you were there. Well, I am. And I want you to explain something to me. How is stealing Dad's business honoring your commitments? How is lying about the easement being honest? How is using his love for you as leverage treating people with respect? I didn't steal anything. I made a business arrangement. Dad signed willingly. He signed because you pressured him, because you made it seem urgent, because you didn't give him all the information. That's not willingly. That's coercion. That's your opinion. No, that's the law. It's called fraud by omission, and if Dad wanted to, he could have you charged. With what? There's no fraud. There's no crime. There's just a business deal that Dad now regrets. That's not illegal. That's just buyer's remorse. Seller's remorse, Jennifer corrected. Dad didn't buy anything. He gave you everything, and you took it. Derek's voice got hard. Stay out of this, Jennifer. This is between me and Dad. It doesn't concern you. It absolutely concerns me. He's my father. You're my brother. This family is falling apart because of what you did. So yeah, it concerns me. Then maybe you should talk to Dad. Tell him to stop fighting. Tell him to let this go, because the longer he fights, the worse this gets. For everyone. Is that a threat? It's a fact. Jennifer looked at me. I shook my head. She understood. Derek, I said, I'm going to ask you one question, and I want an honest answer. What? If our positions were reversed, if I had taken something from you without full disclosure, without honoring our relationship, without giving you a fair deal, would you let it go? Silence. Long silence. Finally. That's different. How? Because I earned this. I worked for this. I spent years learning the business, building relationships, proving myself, and you were always going to hand it to someone. Why not me? Why not your son? Because you didn't ask. You took. There's a difference. Semantics. No. It's everything. Derek hung up. I set the phone down, looked at Ellen and Jennifer. Both were staring at me. He's not going to back down, Ellen said. No, he's not. So what do we do? I thought about that, about Derek's voice, his justifications, his refusal to see what he'd done wrong. We let him fix the notarization, I said. We let him refile the documents. We let him think he's won. Dad, Jennifer started, and then we take it all away. Not just the property, not just the easement, everything, the development, the tenant, the financing, all of it. How? Ellen asked. I pulled out my phone, found the email I'd drafted last night, the one to Apex Manufacturing. We tell them the truth, I said. We tell them exactly what Derek did, how he got the easement, why the deal is compromised, why they should walk away. That'll destroy him, Jennifer said. Yes. That'll cost him everything, the development, his reputation, his credibility. He'll never recover from this. I know. Jennifer looked at me for a long moment. Are you sure? I thought about Derek sliding the folder across the table, about his refusal to meet my eyes, about the mobile notary with the expired license, about the recording Melissa made, about the threats and the justifications and the complete absence of remorse. I'm sure, I said. Ellen nodded. When do we send it? Tomorrow, after Derek refiles the documents, after he thinks everything's locked down, after he's committed and can't back out. Why wait? Because if we send it now, Derek might find another way, another tenant, another angle. But once he's refiled, once the deed is official, once the easement is recorded, he's stuck. He can't pivot. He can't adapt. He just loses. Jennifer stood up, walked to the window again, stared out at nothing. He's going to hate you, she said quietly. Forever. You know that, right? He already does. No. Right now, he hates that you're fighting him. But if you do this, if you destroy his deal, he'll hate you. The person, the father, he'll never forgive you. I can live with that. Can you? I didn't answer. Ellen started typing on her laptop. I'm drafting the email now. We'll review it together. Make sure it's factual, professional, no emotion, just the truth. Jennifer turned away from the window. I want to help. You are helping. No. I mean really help. What can I do? Ellen looked up. You can be there tomorrow, at the lunch, when Derek thinks he's celebrating, when he thinks he's won. You can be there to watch him realize he's lost. That's cruel. Yes, it is. Jennifer thought about that, then nodded. Okay, I'll be there. We spent the next hour drafting the email. It took several versions. The first one was too emotional, too accusatory. The second was too vague. The third was too detailed, legally risky. Finally, we got it right. Dear Apex Manufacturing Solutions, we are writing to inform you of material issues regarding the Piedmont Development Facility at address The access easement that enables your use of this property was obtained through questionable means and is currently subject to legal challenges. The original transfer of property that created this easement involved an invalid notarization and potential fraud. While these issues may be resolved, the timeline and certainty of resolution remain unclear. We understand you have a strict timeline for relocation. We believe you should be aware of these risks before finalizing your lease agreement. For verification, please contact Bill Hendricks, attorney at law, at contact information. Simple, factual, professional, and devastating. When this goes out, Ellen said, Derek's deal dies. Immediately. No tenant means no revenue. No revenue means no financing. No financing means no construction. Everything collapses. Good, I said. My phone buzzed. Bill. Tom, heads up. Derek just filed the corrected documents. New notary, everything's valid. The transfer is official as of 20 minutes ago. He beat the deadline. How much time does he have left before the permit expires? 17 hours, until tomorrow at noon. He's cutting it close. He's desperate, which means he'll be celebrating tonight, thinking he's won, thinking you gave up. Let him think that. What are you planning? I'm planning to send an email tomorrow morning, right before the deadline. I told Bill what we'd drafted. He was quiet for a moment. Then, that'll work. That'll absolutely work. Apex will pull out immediately. No company takes that kind of risk on a compromised property. Is it legal? Can Derek sue me for it? For telling the truth? No. Everything in that email is factual, verifiable, protected speech. He can't touch you. What about tortious interference? Contract interference? You're not interfering with a contract. You're providing information to a potential tenant. That's legal. That's actually encouraged in commercial real estate. Okay, we send it tomorrow. 9 a.m., right when Apex's executives are checking email, right when they can still pull out before the deadline. Bill hung up. The three of us sat there. Ellen, Jennifer, me. Looking at the email on the laptop screen. This is really happening, Jennifer said. Yes. Derek's going to lose everything. Yes. And you're okay with that? I thought about my son, about the boy he used to be, about the man he'd become, about the choice he'd made to betray me. Ask me again in a week, I said. Ellen closed the laptop. We should eat something, keep our strength up. She made sandwiches. We ate without tasting them, just going through the motions. My phone buzzed. Derek again. Dad, documents are refiled. Everything's official. The business is mine. The property is mine. The easement is locked in. I hope you can accept that and move on. I really do. I don't want this to destroy our relationship. Let's have lunch tomorrow. Talk it through. Find a way forward. Please. I showed Ellen and Jennifer. He thinks he won, Ellen said. He did win, legally. The transfer is valid. The easement is recorded. By the letter of the law, Derek owns everything. But he's assuming Apex will sign, assuming the deal will close, assuming everything will go according to plan. And when it doesn't? Then Derek learns a hard lesson about assumptions. I didn't respond to Derek's text, just set the phone down. Jennifer was looking at me strangely. You've changed. What? In the last 2 days, you've changed. You're harder, colder, more calculated. I'm just doing what needs to be done. No. You're doing what Derek would do. You're thinking like him, acting like him, becoming him. That hit harder than I expected. Maybe that's what it takes, I said. To win? Maybe. But at what cost? I didn't have an answer for that. Ellen stood up, started cleaning the kitchen. Jennifer helped her. I sat at the table, thinking. Was Jennifer right? Had I changed? Had 2 days of betrayal and anger and revenge turned me into someone I didn't recognize? Or was this who I'd always been, just hidden under layers of civility and fatherhood and trying to be the good guy? I didn't know anymore. At 8 that evening, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Hello? Mr. Martin? This is Lisa Chen from Apex Manufacturing Solutions. I'm calling about the Piedmont Development Facility. How did you get this number? From Derek Martin. He said you were involved in the property transaction. I wanted to touch base before we finalize our lease agreement tomorrow. I looked at Ellen. She was watching me, listening. What did you want to know? I asked. Well, Derek mentioned there had been some minor administrative issues with the property transfer, a notarization problem, but he said everything's resolved now. I just wanted to confirm that directly with you, as the previous owner. This was a test. Derek had sent her to test me, to see if I'd tell the truth or play along. I thought about the email we'd drafted, the one we planned to send tomorrow morning. I thought about Derek's text. I hope you can accept that and move on. I thought about Jennifer's words. You're becoming him. Mr. Martin? Are you there? Yeah, I'm here. So can you confirm? Is everything resolved with the property transfer? I could lie. Tell her everything was fine. Let Derek have his deal. Let him have his victory. Walk away clean. Or I could tell her the truth. Right now. End this tonight. I looked at Ellen. She shook her head slowly. Wait. Stick to the plan. Everything is resolved, I said. The transfer is official. The easement is recorded. No outstanding issues. That's great. Thank you for confirming. Derek said you were very cooperative, very professional. I appreciate that. You're welcome. We're signing the lease tomorrow at noon, right after Derek's permit deadline clears. Should be a smooth process. I'm sure it will be. Thanks again. Have a good evening. She hung up. I set the phone down. My hands were shaking. You did the right thing, Ellen said. Did I? Yes. We send the email tomorrow, 9 a.m. before they sign. That's the plan. That's what we agreed. What if they don't check their email? They will. Executives always check email first thing. It's habit. Jennifer came over, put her hand on my shoulder. Dad, you okay? I just lied to her. You told her what's legally true. The transfer is official. The easement is recorded. You didn't lie. I let her think everything was fine. I let her believe Derek's version. That's the same as lying. No, it's not. Lying is saying something false. You said something true. You just didn't say everything. There's a difference. I wanted to believe that. Wanted to believe I was still one of the good guys. But I wasn't sure anymore. Ellen sent me to bed early. Said I needed rest. Said tomorrow was going to be intense. I lay there in the dark, thinking about Apex, about Lisa Chen, about Derek celebrating tonight, thinking he'd won. At midnight, I got up, went to my office, pulled up the email we'd drafted, read it again and again and again. Then I opened a new message, started typing. Derek, I need to tell you something. I got 3 sentences in before I deleted it. Started again. Derek, I can't let you... Deleted it. Started again. Derek, you're my son and I... Deleted it. I sat there staring at the blank screen. Cursor blinking. Finally, I closed the laptop. Went back to bed. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., the email would send, and everything Derek had built would come crashing down.